Hey, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here with me today. And I can see that Mumsy's in the house. Mumsy's in the house. And I'm glad you're here. We are going to talk about the Idaho 4 case today. Something new happened, and that was that Bryan Kohberger's defense attorney filed his alibi. Now, I don't know how many states require that an alibi is officially filed. Um, Before this case, but maybe that's a thing now. Um, so they filed it. I have watched two other videos today before making this one. Before me making this video, and that was 1111 True Crime and Michelle Walks. And it was very interesting that they both had different perspectives as when they read it. Where 1111 True Crime tended to be very much in favor of the defense and what they said, and Michelle Walks was very cynical of the filing. So we'll look through it and see what we think. I want to know what you think. I'll share what I think, and I want to know what you think as well. Whatever that is, it's welcome here. So let me. But here's the filing. Oh, look at True Crime and Wine Couple in the house. Yes, thank you for joining. And Chalet in the house. Woohoo, woohoo. And Andy in the house. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We have so many great people here today. And I know I mentioned True Crime and Wine Couple in one of my other videos. And so they're just starting out their channel, and I love what they do. It's only Pete this morning. Well, that's okay. You're welcome. So I'll just say Pete if I'm reading one of your comments. I have to shift on the seat so my rear end doesn't get too sore. Anyway, I have added True Crime and Wine Couple in the description. So they are listed there as friends of the Maven because I have had personal contact now with them. We're going to explore maybe doing some kind of collaboration. Both of our well, no, you got more memberships than me because you just went over 600. Congratulations on that. And I'm closing in on 300 myself. So we'll see. Yeah, and everyone's saying hello to everybody. That's awesome. So yeah, oh, and great emojis. Thank you for all your hearts. So let's read through this. It's a 10-page document, but most of that is the resume or curriculum vitae of the expert. So I think it's only like 3 pages that is the alibi. All right. So blah, blah, blah. Ann Taylor is the one filing it. Case number, blah, blah, blah. So comes now Bryan C. Kohberger by and through his attorney of record, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby files a supplemental response to the demand for alibi and in compliance with Idaho Code, blah, blah. All right. Mr. Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington in June of 2022. As an avid runner and hiker, he explored many areas of the Palouse. Of note, he explored Wawawai Park in July of 2022, and this became a favorite location. After the school year began, Mr. Kohberger was busy with classes and work at Washington State University, and his running and hiking decreased, but did not stop. Instead, his nighttime drives increased. Why don't we just take a quick peek at this Wawai Park and see where it is. Wawai Park, Pullman. So let me find it first, and then, okay, well, I'll share my screen with you. Oops. Stop that one. Because I know you're probably curious like me. So these are some pictures of the park. Looks like a nice place. And, well, we can use this picture here. So we can see this is Pullman, and here's the state line of Washington. So this right here is Moscow. All right. And it is way over in this direction, in the other way. You know, it goes to the west. And I believe that like this road here is the loop that they're saying, you know, that the PCA described, that Bryan Kohberger drove on this route here. And so they're talking about this county park. We'll see how that ends up really. Yeah, pretty. It's real pretty. You've been waiting for me to read this. Wow, thank you, Chalet. So let's go back. Stop that one. Go back to PCA. Moving on to page 2. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or in the early morning on several occasions. The phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late evenings and early mornings, including in November, depicting the night sky. Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did, to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawai Park. Okay, and we saw that that's not part of the loop that they were talking, you know, that the police have mentioned. All right, partial corroboration. Mr. Kohberger intends to offer testimony of Cy Ray, a CSLI expert, which means cell tower, cell phone, and other radio frequency, and his curricula vitae is attached, to show that Bryan Kohberger's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. That Bryan Kohberger's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. I hadn't heard of this Floyd's cannabis shop, but maybe police in their discovery to the defense showed a picture of a white Hyundai. It's Hyundai, right? The white car, and that was in, you know, one of the pictures was in front of Floyd's cannabis shop, I guess. So I'd like to say here, what we've been told so far is that Bryan Kohberger's phone didn't have any signal, like during the time of the murders, right? Isn't that what we've been told? So if this is true, if there is cell phone data that he was traveling and his phone wasn't turned off, then that's going to mean that the information from the police wasn't really forthcoming. And that could be why they're not giving that discovery. It's at least 14 times now that Ann Taylor has requested specific discovery, and this must be one of the things that they're holding back. Yeah, interesting. This isn't, so is Ann Taylor just like throwing this out there, or do they have something? Only time will tell, because she says additional information as to Mr. Kohberger's whereabouts as the early morning hours progressed, including additional analysis by Mr. Ray, will be provided once the state provides discovery requested, and now subject to an upcoming motion to compel. If not disclosed, Mr. Ray's testimony will also reveal that critical exculpatory evidence further corroborating Mr. Kohberger's alibi was either not preserved or has been withheld. I mean, that sounds like they got something to back it up. So I'm thinking what we've been told before wasn't the truth. Because you're not going to put this in writing into the court if you don't have something to back it up. And if they've got it, that's going to be hard for the prosecution to recover from. And it will be very interesting to see how, is it Bill Thompson is the prosecutor, who's been kind of known to throw some temper tantrums in the courts and during hearings. How is he going to deal with this? And maybe, who knows, maybe Bill Thompson, the prosecutor, is acting on the information that the police have given him. So maybe they're withholding information from him. And let me tell you, I wouldn't want to be the object of his temper tantrum, because if the police were withholding this information from him, and now he's finding out, wait a minute, I'm here standing before the court prosecuting this guy based on the information you gave me, and you didn't give, you're holding back exculpatory evidence. Oh my goodness. Just so that you see it, here's Cy Ray, and all it's like another 5 pages of all of who he's worked for, what he's done. The guy's legit. He's a legit expert. Pete says, sounds very much like another big case we have been following. Yes, and that would be Delphi. I haven't really been following the Karen Reed case, although I did watch something, I think this morning, and then I saw like the house and the way that the car was supposed to, where the man who died's body was. And they're saying that Karen Reed had like hit him with the car, and then left him on the side of the road to die. And when I was watching, then it was like, oh yes, I did see something months ago about this case. But apparently there's a lot of covering up going on in that case, which is not the subject of this video. But yeah, with Delphi too, but in Delphi's case, I'm pretty sure that Slick Nick, as he's nicknamed, is probably involved because he's a Mason. There's pictures of him being, I'm not sure if he's in the same lodge as Brad Holder, but I think he might be in the same lodge. And so that's a pretty dubious connection, in that case. Where this, I'm willing to give Bill Thompson the benefit of the doubt here, although I will say there's a lot of nasty stuff in Moscow, Idaho, between the university, the police department, courts, where it does seem like whatever they're doing, that they're all in on it together. It has that feel to it. We don't have proof of anything. Pete says, I've been trying to determine that with no luck yet. Yeah. I mean, well, we'll see I think how Bill Thompson responds to this will tell us a lot, because Slick Nick in Delphi he's 100% in on hanging the Delphi murders of poor Abby and Libby on Richard Allen. He's 100% in. He's not looking any other way, and he'll do whatever he has to do to move in that direction. And so we'll see what happens. Hey, Queen's in the house. Queen's in the house. Hey, great that you're here. We've already read it. And to summarize what we just read, the defense is saying that there are phone records that support Bryan Kohberger driving in an area that is nowhere near Moscow. We can look at that again. Present, share screen. Browser can't access. Try capturing a different screen. Okay, present, share screen, share screen, share. There we go. So yeah, we were looking at this. Let me see if I can open this in a new tab. Open the image in a new tab. Oh, yeah. Share this tab. Here you go. How's that? Is that better for you guys? Oh, Queen, thank you for reminding people to hit like. That's very kind of you. So what we've got here's Pullman. Here's Moscow, right? It's just over the border from each other, like 10, 15 minutes drive. And this road here and this road here is what makes that loop around that the PCA talked about, that they were saying that, because they're implying that when Bryan Kohberger left the scene of the crime, he went south and on this loop, and that he probably disposed of whatever evidence, like a knife or bloody clothes or whatever, somewhere along this route, so that it would never be found. That's what they're implying. And then he entered back into Pullman this way. But what they're saying is that he was down in this area, south of Pullman, west of Moscow, including this park. Now, is that the only place he went? Well, no, maybe he was over here in this area. It doesn't say that he was only in this park, but it said that it included this park. Pete says that he's pretty convinced that BK is guilty. However, with that said, I think that the prosecution will have a lot to overcome to get a conviction. It's possible. I think that if he did it, that he didn't do it in the timeline that they're presenting. Because I don't think any one single human being could have done the injuries that we know about. I mean, we don't know everything. We don't have an autopsy. We don't know everything. But the pieces that we do know about their injuries, I don't think there's any way anyone did it in less than 10 minutes. If like a ninja guy went in and just slit 4 people, they could do that. But not the injury. I don't buy it that the injuries, according to their timeline, the 4 to 4:20-ish timeline. But I have a whole video on that if you guys want to look at that. Yeah, if he's guilty, he didn't do it alone, Chalet says. And you guys are saying that from day one. Yeah, the timeline is very problematic. Exactly. And there had to be a lot of blood all over the place. And So that's really interesting. We don't know what the crime scene actually looked like. We did have, and have not. I've asked different people, hey, do you have a copy of this? But I have not been able to find. I've found references and quotes from the responding officer first entering. I've found like articles that reference his report and exactly what he said, right? But I remember reading it, and he said, okay, I arrived at the scene and I approached the door, which was open or something, and the smell hit me, right? Now his quote about that can be found, but I read the whole thing, and I'm pretty sure that that's the place that he talked about being able to see Ethan in the doorway. When he went up the stairs and he immediately saw Ethan in the hallway. And then somebody mentioned that Ethan was hamstrung. And I believe it was this officer in this report of his statement as a responding officer. And I cannot find that. And that has been completely scrubbed from the internet. I cannot find it. Pete says the timeline is the reason I had a big problem with them destroying the house, and now they can't do a walkthrough. This is true. And I don't doubt that there was a white. Oh no, it's Elantra. I said Hyundai. Oh, well, Elantra is Hyundai, right? The white Elantra doing its back and forth and everything. I don't think that was Bryan. But if it's doing back and forth, they said it didn't have a front license plate, but wouldn't that footage at some point have the rear license plate in it? Because it was going one way, then it was going the other way. I don't know. I'm stuck. There's so many things that it's not, we're not sure about in this case, but yeah, he could have been involved. I'm not saying he's innocent. I think just like Richard Allen, we need to consider innocent until proven guilty. But I don't think Bryan's constitutional rights are being violated. He's said that he's vegan. He needs special food. They're giving him his special food. I think he's being cared for, in the jail. I think things are plodding along the way that they're supposed to. Let's see. Pete says, we don't have the front license plates in Pennsylvania. Right. A lot of states don't have a front license plates. But that's one of the things that's been brought up as far as identifying the car, and so then in the parking lot where he lived in Pullman, the security guard or whatever for the apartment complex was walking around and said, well, because he'd heard the APB or BOLO, I guess they're called BOLOs now. Back in the day, they were all points bulletins, APBs. He heard that, and so he's walking around the parking lot to see if there's any cars that fit the description, and he finds Bryan Kohberger's car. At least that's what we've been told. He didn't change his registration until after the murders. True. Oh, Chalet says there's no front plates in Florida. You like the rambling idea, Maven. Good concept. Thank you. I like your wine concept. If we do collaborate and we're like, I'm live with you on your show, I'll have to make sure I have a glass of wine. His car was registered in Pennsylvania at the time of the murders. Yes, he hadn't changed the registration yet. Mary in the house. I don't know what you mean, Mary. Oh, unless you mean me? No. My name's Miriam. It's not a secret. Mary in the house. Is that a typo or something? Or I don't know who Mary is in which house. Ah, Queen's listening while she eats lunch. Are you going to tell us what you're eating? Sometimes we ramble about food. And Chalet says, yes, covering all the bases by putting in rambling. Yes. Well, that was a short document, so we got through it. If that's all you wanted to read, you wanted to hear, then you heard it, and I guess you can go now. But if you like rambling, then yeah, we can talk about whatever. His wife, whose wife is Mary? Oh, Pete's wife is Mary. Okay, Mary's in the house. Okay, got it. She's commenting as well. Oh, okay. So Mary wrote Mary in the house. Mary in the house. Okay, I'll put Mary in the house. Because now we know Pete's in the house, Mary's in the house. Okay. She must have jumped in between classes. Well, welcome. Get with it, Maven. I know. But that's what makes it fun. You guys can laugh at me. I don't mind. Oh, goodness. So anything else about Idaho 4? Since that's kind of the topic, we talk about the alibi. I think we really need to see how Bill Thompson reacts to this. And but I don't think, unlike Michelle Walks was like, well, this is what's been said. Like his phone was turned off. So how can they have data on his phone when his phone was turned off? And I'm like thinking, exactly. So if his phone wasn't turned off and there is phone data, that's a problem for the prosecution. Pete and Mary say, sorry for the confusion. You had a short break and heard the ninja comment. Well, yeah. I believe, you kill 4 people in I estimate 7 minutes from the time the car did its 3-point turn and then went out of view and then went and parked and then someone came in, and then did the deed and then left and then got in their car and then drove off, and to be back in the screen again, that leaves you about 7 minutes. Yes, 4 people can be killed in 7 minutes. That I don't dispute that, but it's the way they were killed that especially if Ethan was hamstrung. That's how we started rambling on that responding officer, because I can't find hamstrung anywhere, and I know I read it. And hamstrung is very rarely used. Drug cartels will use it, but you cut the back of the leg, just above the knee, to disable the person. So, and the only reason you take the effort to hamstring someone and disable them is because you want them alive while you're doing something else. And so if that happened, there's no way 7 minutes. But I don't have any proof of that. I don't have any proof of the hamstrung. I can't find that stupid report or statement or whatever it was. A lot of problems with this case. Chalet says the judge was not too happy with his lawyer. Yeah. The true crime wine couple says the prosecutor, aka Santa, yeah, Bill Thompson, is way out of his league. That Mary says this. And the timeline, the car video, the DNA evidence, the phone pinging, just to name a few. Exactly. There's messed up things with all of it. The fact that it's touch DNA, and I keep trying to tell people touch DNA does not mean that you touched something. It means that when you touched it and left your DNA, and somebody else came and got your DNA on them. Think of germs. My germs end up, I wipe my nose, I touch my phone. Then you say, can I borrow your phone? You grab my phone. Now those germs you have. So the very fact that it's touch DNA would mean that he didn't touch it. It should be transfer DNA. That's what it should be called. Find it ironic that everyone wants Fran Gull to lighten up and John Judge to toughen up. For for sure. Hey, Rex Stardust in the house. Rex in the house. All right. You've kind of like missed most of it. Well, you're welcome to be here. We're so in case you haven't heard and you're just joining, the basis of the alibi is that the defense is claiming they have an expert and they have gotten, I guess maybe they contacted the cell phone company on their own, or maybe it's the car, because he's an expert in cell phone and radio frequencies. I don't think they said it was the phone. Did they say? Let's look at it again. But hey, before I pull this down, let me just show you. There's Pullman, there's Moscow, here's the loop the police say that he took, and here's Wawawai County Park is way over here in the opposite direction of Moscow. Okay, so now let's look it up and see if they said it's actually, because what if it's car data? What if it's like GPS satellite data from the car? Rex says, hey, there is this kick-ass couple that wants to collab with you. Yes, I said I gave them my email, so they can. And then once you're on email, then you can say, well, are you on Discord or Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever? We can figure a way to keep in contact. And they say not only that is it touch DNA, but also the fact that they use their DNA lab. Yes, they said that they used their lab, and we all know now that they didn't. They sent it to whatever in Texas. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I did a I did a read through called Fact, Probable, and Lies or something, and I just went through. I did it for Delphi and I did it for Idaho, and going through and with that in mind, is this statement something that is just probable? Is it something that is a fact? Is it something that is an outright lie? And that came up about the I'm like, wait a minute. They're saying that the Idaho State lab processed the DNA, but that's not true. Don't forget to hit the like, friends. Thank you. Oh, look at Andy's got some T-Rex dinosaur emoji. He's the king of emojis. And Chalet's the queen of emojis. All right, so let's look and see. Let me so stop that one. And we're going to come back over to the document. There it is. So let's see. So he said that his nighttime drives increased. This is supported by data from Mr. Kohberger's phone. Okay, there you go. It's phone. I wasn't sure. So that's where we go back and look. So it's not the car, it's the phone. And then down here it says the expert will show that his mobile device was south of Pullman. Wow. So why would you write this if you didn't have the proof to back it up? Which means that the police and the prosecution are probably pooping their pants. Because they just figured, well, if we don't give it to them, they're not going to have it. But they got it. They got the data. And I think that what they're doing is they're giving them a chance. They're giving them a chance to come clean. That's what I think. I think that the defense is putting them on notice that we have this. So either you come clean about it, or it's going to look really bad for you if it comes out in trial and you're hiding that you're hiding this. Because most of what, one of the strongest evidences that they purport to have is this whole white Elantra, it was here, it was there, to prove that he was at the crime scene. you know, because a sheath with touch DNA that was left in the trunk for 3 days before it was even taken into the police station for the lab for forensics. I mean, there's just so much wrong with that. No blood in the car. That's right. Both the, True Crime and Wine Couple and Chalet both mentioning there's no blood in the car. Rex is saying so much corruption going on in Indiana and Idaho and Massachusetts. Right. And so, I mean, and other places too, we just don't know about it. Very fishy, Queen. Very fishy. And not in a good way. I know you guys like fishing. So fish is a good thing for you, but it's not good here. Ian Kinzel, welcome. Ian in the house. If they're going off BK's phone for his alibi, though, how can they claim more accuracy than the cell tower data that LE cited originally? Good question. You have another comment. Let me read it. I thought the issue was the area lacked the infrastructure to pinpoint people's locations on their phone. No, in Hawaii, Chalet. Yeah. Okay. Let me show you where the defense is talking about. Okay. I have it right here on another tab. Oops, wait, wrong tab. Move, wait, present. This one. Okay. All right. Why isn't it on? Oh, it's loading. Okay, it's loading. Friends grease palms and the list go on. Some police are corrupt. Not all of them, but some of them are. Okay, so Ian, you see this picture. This is Pullman, and police, according to the PCA, Bryan left Pullman and went directly to Moscow. And then after committing the crimes, he went south on this road, which then loops around and comes back up and then entered Pullman here, right? The defense is saying that not exclusively, but his drive included going to this Wawawai County Park, which is here, all right? And that he was never anywhere near Moscow. That's what the defense is saying, right? So are there limited cell phone towers out in this direction? Sure. You need 3 cell phone towers to triangulate a location from a ping. Now, if you're using GPS, because they're just saying, they're saying cell phone data. But if a ping is the phone connecting to the tower. However, if you have an app that's running on your phone or the location, right? Like here's my phone. We all know location, right? Let's just make it real clear. Can you get, no, wait. You guys see you can't see. Anyway, you guys know that there's location. If your location is turned on, then that information is independent of the pings, right? Oh, and they had pictures. They also had pictures. Well, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Ian. I try to help. And Chile says, my cell phone tells me I'm in the wrong place quite often. No problem. And they did mention the pictures, but I think they said that just his nighttime, the fact that driving at night was normal for him. And he had pictures of like the moon and stars or whatever. He had nighttime pictures. I'm not sure they said the photos were of that night. They may have. Should we look at it again? Oops, let's remove that one. Stop that screen. Come over here. Okay, so the mobile device was south. So that's just the location of the device, right? It did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman Highway. Additional information as to his whereabouts in the early morning as the early morning hours progressed, including additional analysis, right? So it could be more than pings. It could include photos. It could include an app that had his location. It could include the phone data of the location through GPS, not through ping. Right? But the photo part is up here because it says that they're just talking about that he went on nighttime drive. His nighttime drives increased, and this is supported by data, right, from his phone, showing him in the countryside late at night and or the early morning. Phone data includes numerous photographs taken on several different late evenings and early mornings, including in November, but they don't say November 13th for the photographs, right? So it may include photographs, but it doesn't specify that. I think they're keeping that tight. I think they're wanting to make the prosecution worry about exactly what data do they have about the 13th. But they have something, or they wouldn't. This isn't a bluff. You don't bluff this. I'm sorry. I don't believe that they would be bluffing. Queen says that her friends just got their marriage license. Whoop, whoop. And congratulations to them. This expert, isn't he normally an expert for the prosecution? We did not go through all 10 pages. Let me see. LexisNexis Special Services, Gilbert Police Department. He worked at the Gilbert, Arizona Police Department as a sergeant officer in SWAT. He was an officer at the Show Low, Arizona Police Department. He was a trainer mentor in Afghanistan for military professional resources. He says that he has got 20 years of law enforcement experiences, 5 years on patrol, 13 years in criminal investigations, 7 years in violent crimes, etc., 3 years as a detective sergeant, 2 years on the criminal apprehension team, 1 year of undercover operations in Afghanistan, 8 years as SWAT, and 7 years as an instructor and operator of a law enforcement training company. So he's very heavy there. Now here it says 10 years of expert witness, that he's testified over 100 times in the state and federal courts. All casework prior to 11/23 was as prosecution witness. There you go. Rex is right. Woohoo, Rex. Good catch. Good catch on that. Wow. All casework prior to 11/23 was as prosecution witness. They couldn't have found a better expert. There's no way this expert can be disputed. Queen says the phone tells on you, and Big Brother is always watching. If you do something wrong, leave the phone at home, and definitely don't take pictures. Google timeliness always knows where you've been. Yeah, this guy seems credible. Definitely. And Chalet says, no, I was serious when I said my phone sends my location was somewhere and completely different than where I was. Yeah, that can happen, because sometimes things change, and from when they got their map data or whatever, and they think there's a street here and there's not. or they don't realize that there's a street when there wasn't one before. Spell checker has jokes. Yes. Gets all of us. Yeah, figure that one out. Yeah. Here in Cambodia, there's so much development happening all the time that Google can't keep up with it. But it does a pretty good job, actually. But it's not 100%. You were in DeLand, Florida, or Delano. Is that last D supposed to be an O? Delano? Yeah. Wow. Queen, when you want it to know, it doesn't. And when you don't want it to know, it does. Yes. That's right, Queen. Oh my goodness. So I'm really excited to see when the prosecution files a response. Let's see. It's the middle of the week, right? Or is it Wednesday or Thursday? Oh, it's Thursday already. Oh my goodness. Ian says, so that's why I keep getting Facebook login notifications from the next town over. Oh my gosh. Well, actually be careful if somebody else is trying to log in to your account but your phone or your computer is what's with the account and it sends you a notification that there was a login. It could be someone trying to get into your account. So be careful with that. Oh, it is DeLand. Okay. Rex says, Rosie and Baldwin need to call this guy, but it would take a lot more fundraising. Yeah. He could probably crack that geofencing. And he must have some connections with the cell companies to get that data fast. Kind of like the police, Queen says. And the week is flying by. Oh, absolutely. When you want them there, they don't come. And when you don't want them around, they are there. Yeah, like the police. Okay. Oh, goodness. That's just life, though. It's always good to be on the good side of police officers, for sure. I lived in a small town in California that the population was between 3,000 to 5,000. I think there was a new suburb that was being built, so it was 3,000. But then once the houses got filled, it was 5,000. And they had less than 10 police officers, I think. And so True Crime and Wine Couple says, it will be interesting to see if those pings on his phone were moving or stationary. And if stationary, he could have just put the phone out there for his alibi and then went into Moscow to commit the murders. Absolutely. This is true. And then had to go back and get it, Or he could have had a partner that took his phone. I mean, if we want to think of all possibilities, he could have had a partner that took his phone, out that way while he went to Moscow. Queen says, I can honestly say I haven't been in trouble since you were 15. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I haven't been in a lot of trouble. I did shoplifting when I was 12, almost, but I didn't actually get in trouble for that, but almost. Police were asking me, where's this from? Where's your receipt? I don't keep the receipt. I threw it away. What do you say? 12 years old. Caught or in trouble. Yeah. Ping stationary. Other thing. Oh, so I was thinking when the case was early on and we didn't know as much as we know now. One of the things that had crossed my mind as a possibility with Bryan is that he wasn't stalking the women, but that maybe he found, because he's working on his PhD, and I was like, what? He had to have already filed, what his PhD topic was, right? Because then you have to have that before you get accepted for your PhD to do it. And I'd like to know what topic was his PhD that he was working on, because if he had reached out before to criminals because he wanted to get in their head, he wanted to know their perspective, right? It would make a lot of sense to me that someone like this would partner up with a criminal that's going to do a crime to observe for his PhD, not to participate in it directly, but like to be the getaway driver for this guy, or actually go in the house. I mean, I think he'd be smart enough not to go in the house and leave. He knows forensics. He's got a friggin' master's degree. It's not like he just took a forensics 101 course or an true wine and crime. I think you mentioned you teach a college prep course in high school on forensics, so it's not like you just had one course in forensics. I mean, he's got a master's degree in criminology. He would know better than to go in there and leave that some kind of DNA, a hair would fall, something. So, but maybe he was partnered with someone and that's how he's connected. That was my initial thought. And now we've had a lot of other details and things come out since then. So I don't know. Okay. So so back to Queen, there's always a possibility of being set up by someone that hates you, and Chalet says, like, who framed Roger Rabbit? Queen says that she took the rap when she was 15 to help someone else. I hope they were as loyal to you as you were to them. A lot of that for his master's degree. Yeah. A lot of connecting with the criminals. And Rex says, I was stopped one night when I was about 17. They told me there were break-ins in the area and I was looking suspicious. I was literally wearing all white, my shirt, shorts, and shoes. I said, really? It must have been the way you were walking. It was your stride that was suspicious, not the clothes. But yeah, who would think, who would be wearing white to a burglary? Ian says he might not have been far enough along. In my program, we didn't submit our topic until after we finished the coursework. I think BK had just begun his PhD study, right? Well, yeah, he started that semester. That's, so that's September, 2 months. He'd only been 2 months into his B. Okay. Honestly, I didn't realize there was any coursework that you had to do with. I don't have a PhD. I have a bachelor's degree. Okay, I got that far. I went back in my 30s, by the way, to get it. Anyway, I thought that the PhD was 2 years of working on your research. I didn't realize that you actually had to. You had any courses that you had to take. But I'll believe you that there is. Okay. Queen says, I was homeless and living on the street at the time and hungry, so it worked out for us all. Wow. Well, yeah, I'm glad everything's okay now. Mary teaches forensics. Right. True crime and wine couple says. Rex, all I was doing was walking. Well, you were walking suspiciously, Rex. Don't you get it? Chalet says, they took my dad in one time when he was young and it wasn't him and they treated him badly and never apologized. Oh, that sucks. They don't like to apologize, do they, ever? And they were just like, oops, wrong dude. Yeah, and they don't give, if you missed work, they don't give you any. A lot of True Crime and Wine Couple is saying that, yes, Bryan Kohberger was doing a lot of interviewing of criminals. And Queen says, yes, they were, Maven. She got clean while I was inside, became a better mother to her kids. The experience changed us all for the better. Well, that's good then. That's good, Queen. I'm glad that it worked out that way. Rex Stardust. That's awesome. I wish I had not been so dumb when awesome that I went back to school and got a bachelor's degree. Wish I had not been so dumb when young. I definitely would have gone to law school. Cool. Yeah, I was a journalism major and then kind of shifted to film. Ian Kinzel, PhD, typically 2 years of coursework and then 2 to 4 years of research. I did not realize that. Okay. I just thought it was the 2 years of research and then you got your PhD. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for us. CFM's Queen. That's crazy that happened to you, Rex. Oh yeah, about getting pulled over for walking. Yeah, and you should have gone to law school. Oh no, True Crime and Wine Couple is saying that they should have gone to law school. Ian, PhD programs like to work in-house to maintain instructional standards. They don't want to have trust where you got, they don't want to have to trust where you got your master's. Right. But his master's program was under some pretty significant, he had some good instructors in Pennsylvania when he got his master's. So I think that's why they accepted him. I can't remember who it was that was, maybe True Crime Cult was saying that it could have been True Crime and Wine Couple as well, that when Bryan Kohberger applied to work with the police, so like as a part-time job during his while he's getting his PhD, right? So while he's at school, to work part-time for the police in whatever program, right? And he applied to be part of this program. And he said in his application how he has all this experience with data forensics and things. And someone said this, and I thought that, this they could be onto something, that being that they were such small town, good old boys, that we have facts that they planted evidence and did different things in other cases, right? And they're still on the job. And so they've got their, if the police in Moscow and Pullman, if they're working together on shady dealings, which may involve, I mean, there's big drug corridor there and everything as well. If there's whatever shady, and they would feel threatened by Bryan Kohberger coming in and then like doing data reviews and then discovering what they're doing, right? Because he's not one of them. And so then if they needed to find a fall guy, that would point that like, oh, hey, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's pin this on him, and then he's not going to find out what we're doing, right? I mean, someone suggested that, and I thought, wow, well, that kind of makes sense. That's a possibility. If he studied under Catherine Ramsland, who is, I mean, a very famous. Didn't she work? She worked with some high-profile, BTK, right? BTK. I think. Oh, there. Now you know what happens with me and Chalet all the time. Is like, so I really don't see the next line, and he studied under Catherine Ramsland, and then I'm thinking, and then right there, it was already there. She wrote the book about BTK. All right. It was there. So that's part of the fun, I think, of watching me, is when I do that, and everyone's probably sitting there, read the next message. Oh, and then you said we live about 20 minutes away from where BK's parents live and where he was arrested. Wow, that's really close. Yeah. It's a plausible theory for sure, Queen says. Yeah, I mean, if the police are corrupt and, then he applies to their program, then let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's a plausible theory, So that must have been all in your news, Pete and Mary, when that arrest was made. Then Queen says, LOL, and the heart at the bottom gets in the way of comments here as well. LOL, always got to wait for the next message to come up to read the one before. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I know, I do that too. You know, it's like I try to like scroll up or down or whatever, and there's like sometimes there's one more that you just, you know, it's there but you can't see it yet. Mary wanted to go to his arraignment. Well, she should have taken the whole class. Hey, we're going on a field trip. Or use that as a carrot. You know, we're going to have your assignment. If you get a high enough score on your assignment, then you go on the field trip. This is Slinky, by the way, if you saw Slinky. That would be a great carrot to have for your class for whatever purpose. The town was shut down and crazy. Wow, I didn't realize that. You know, that it really affected the whole area. Queen says, sometimes I guess Maven, and that is always dangerous and possibly hilarious or telling. Which thing? Sometimes I guess Maven, and that is always dangerous and possibly hilarious or telling. Holy Moses. I don't know what part of what I said you're talking about. But I'll choose hilarious over dangerous. Sometimes I guess what the comment is. Oh, okay. Got it. Sometimes you guess what the comment is, and that is always dangerous. Yeah, and possibly hilarious. True. Holy Moses about the town being shut down. Yeah. Well, it's been 1 hour, so I mean, with the amount of content in this one, of course, the other ones went like 2.5 hours because we had like so much to go through, and then all our comments. But this one, I think we've covered this subject. You know, yeah. So Rex, gotta go. I hope you have a blessed day. Absolutely, and don't forget, Rex and everybody else, that love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you are watching this, I love you. I do. So everybody, I think you're all in America. So have a great day. I'm in Cambodia. So I'm going to have a good night. Queen says she should explain herself a little bit better when typing. Sometimes. And hugs from Chalet and True Crime and Wine Couple Pete and Mary saying great jumping in with you. Definitely catch you again. Absolutely. And we'll figure out if there's some way we can collaborate. I would love to do that. I think you guys you guys have hit something in the algorithm, and so you're growing. You're growing, and me too. I mean, I think YouTube's sharing my stuff more now. And things are definitely getting more visibility than they were before. So I think we're both on the rise. So yes, love everybody. Andy, we're not forgetting about you. Mumsy, I'm sure you guys are both listening. There's Andy. Got to end with those emojis. So, all right, guys. See you next time.